Okay, before starting, I would like to thank organizers for giving me such a great chance to present our study in front of a worldwide audience. I'm Shigeyuki Karino from Kyushu Sangyo University in Japan, and this work has been done with my collaborator Takako Otabe. Today, I would like to talk about the contribution of the astronomy on the lifelong education for senior citizens. In recent years, the declining birth rate and aging population have become major problems, especially in developed countries. In particular, with the development of medical care, the number of healthy senior people is increasing. For example, in Japan, half a century ago, the number of elderly people was small and young generation made up the majority of the population. Half a century later, however, more than 40% of the population is expected to be over 65 years old. In order for the healthy elderly to live a full life, the government needs to provide them with opportunities for activities. After their retirement, senior citizens have enough time. The way to spend the time is quite important to make their life with satisfaction. In this context, lifelong education plays an important role. Previous researches have shown that improving education for the senior citizens can not only improve the quality of life of the senior citizens, but can also prevent their isolation. And it is considered that these effects finally make the society better. In such education systems for senior citizens, there must be something that astronomy can make contribution. However, learning and education for the elderly differ greatly from education for the younger generations, such as schooling and vocational education, in several ways. For example, the motivation and purpose of learning for the senior is very different from that of formal education. In school education and vocational education, students can learn knowledge and abilities necessary for social life. For example, in school education, younger students learn how to read, write, do mathematics, learn about society and economics, and how to use computers and so on. However, for senior learners, the goals of the learning are completely different. In fact, for the elderly, learning itself is the purpose of the learning. We also need to consider the method of learning. For astronomy education, star party is one of the effective methods, but senior citizens often have problems in their eyesight and physical strength, so safety must be taken into consideration. On the other hand, senior citizens have great knowledge and ability to evaluate something. Therefore, it is necessary to develop educational programs that take into account the characteristics of these senior citizens. In order to establish an effective educational program for senior citizens, we started to investigate how astronomy can contribute to the learning of the senior people. In particular, we have started investigating the reason why the senior citizens learn. Our goal is to find out the motivations and needs for learning, and to examine how astronomy can fit into these needs. There have been several previous studies on the learning needs of the seniors. For example, classically, it is well known that there is a transcendence need in the learning of seniors. This is the need to relate one's life to the past and the future, and is explained as a reason why senior people prefer to study history and literature. Also, one of the unique learning needs for the senior people is the connection need, which is a need to connect with other senior people and different generations. However, past studies have not assumed that the elderly would study natural sciences such as astronomy. Therefore, we are investigating whether astronomy fits the learning needs and motivations of the senior citizens. Here, we would like to introduce the results of our preliminary survey. We conducted a questionnaire-based survey of the participants of the series of astronomy courses offered to senior citizens in Japan. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19, in last year, we had to limit the number of participants of the lectures, so the sample size was not large. However, we have obtained some meaningful results for the guidelines in the future works. First, we asked the participants in our course of astronomy for senior citizens about their feeling about learning. There are many more items actually, but we have selected only the most important ones here. For each of these items, the participants were asked to indicate how much they're feeling on each item on a 4-point scale. The right column shows the average scores. The results indicate that the senior learners in the astronomy course enjoy the learning itself more than the making connections and practical benefits. Another question asked what topics they would like to learn about. For each of 20 options, the participants were asked to indicate the level of interest on a 4-point scale. Subjects shown by red are that got high scores, while blue-colored subjects are not popular in this investigation. Since this questionnaire is for participants who have taken astronomy course, it is not surprising that astronomy has the highest score. Based on this result, we will examine the correlation between each subject rather than the score. We calculated the cross-correlation coefficient of how the participants scored on these 20 learning subjects. Of course, you need not follow each scores in the diagram below. Anyway, it is important that there are several pairs of subjects that show highly correlated each other. Those with high correlation coefficients were considered to be closer or similar to each other in terms of the learning needs of the elderly. Then, based on these correlation coefficients, we made cluster analysis. Here, we show the result. We set the threshold at an appropriate point and classified these 20 subjects into several groups. As a result, based on the learning motivations of the senior learners, we have categorized these 20 subjects into 6 groups as below. That is, subject groups of hobbies, volunteer activities, internet and computer, astronomy and natural sciences, artistic activities, and others. Next, we check the correlation of the learning motivations with the groups of elderly learning subjects that we have just categorized. Again, it is not necessary to check the numbers in this diagram. But the important point is that the result shows that some of the subjects have a strong correlation with specific motivations of senior learners. Here, I show the summary of our analysis. The figure below shows the strongest correlations. This shows that those who answered, "I want to enjoy studying itself," and "I want to think about the meaning of life through learning," tend to prefer to study astronomy and natural sciences. On the other hand, those who want to apply what they learn to their lives, and those who want to connect with other participants through learning, do not seem to be interested in astronomy. Thus, it is clear that astronomy is well suitable for the senior learners who find meaning in learning itself. On the contrary, astronomy does not attract those who seek practical benefits from learning. In addition, from the free descriptions in the questionnaire, although we have not examined in detail, it seems possible that there is a change in behaviors in the senior participants after learning about astronomy. And it is interesting that most of them answered that they want to continue their studies. It may be possible that astronomy can contribute to keep the learning motivations of senior citizens. We would like to investigate this possibility in detail in the future works. Okay, the pilot study revealed the motivation for the senior citizens to study astronomy. In other words, astronomy is an attractive subject for those who enjoy learning itself. On the other hand, people who want to think about the meaning of life through learning also seem to have a motivation to study astronomy. Contrary, astronomy does not seem to be attractive to those who seek connection with other participants or those who seek practical benefit. In this study, we found a certain relationship between the learning needs of the senior citizens and astronomy. In the future, we plan to study the astronomy education curriculum to meet the learning motivation of the seniors, and to study the astronomy education contents that can be safely taken by the seniors. Okay, I stop here. Thank you very much for listening.